Welcome back. The CEOs of 10 U.S. passenger-based and cargo airlines, including Delta, American, United, Southwest, and JetBlue, are calling for an end to the airline's mask mandate, which expires on April 18th. They are writing to the administration and the president specifically saying now is the time for the administration to sunset federal transportation travel restrictions, including international pre-departure testing requirements and the federal mask mandate that are no longer aligned with the realities of current epidemiological environment. So let's talk about this with Nicholas Calio, Airlines for America President and CEO. Nicholas, nice to see you. You wrote this letter on behalf of the CEOs. So why now?
The reason now is because, as you put it, the science and data do not support continuing the mask mandate for transportation. From the beginning, airlines have leaned into the science and data to make decisions about protecting our passengers and our crews. And we, initiated our own mask mandate before the federal government did it, enhanced cleaning procedures. We have the best air filtration systems on Earth on our aircraft. And if you look at all of that together, if 535 members of Congress, Supreme Court justices, the president and the vice president can all gather on the floor of the House of Representatives, which if you've ever been there is not particularly well ventilated without masks. If you can go to crowded restaurants, if you can go to sporting events where people are screaming without masks, with lacking the filtration that you have on an aircraft, there is no justification based on science and data for discriminating against air travel.
In your estimation, what is at risk here if this mask mandate doesn't get sunsetted?
I think you're going to continue. I think, first of all, I think what's at risk is public confidence. It's difficult for the public to understand why they can go all these other places without masks, and then they get to an airport or an aircraft, again, with extra good filtration, and they have to put the mask back on. There has been an uptick over the last couple of years in unruly passenger incidents on airplanes, well documented by everybody's cell phones, correct? And that is going to continue. Our flight attendants and our pilots have been at the forefront of having to enforce the mask mandate. I think that they would like the freedom. If you talk to them, by and large, they would. This should be a matter of choice at this point. Again, you can't say you're going to follow the science and data and then ignore the science and data. And we can't find anything that justifies continuing on an aircraft when all these other venues are free of the mask mandate. And it's the same for the pre-departure testing requirements. They haven't worked to stop the spread. So why continue them down the line here? Again, it's all about the science and data. The World Health Organization has said that all of these quarantines, all of these testing requirements have done nothing to stop the spread of COVID. So we're in a place now where the data supports lifting these restrictions, opening travel, opening commerce, letting people get out. If it comes to a point where something happens down the line, they can certainly be reinstituted, but they cannot be justified today.
And as you mentioned, the advanced filtration system that you have on airplanes, talk about some of the costs associated with keeping these mask mandates in place and whether you're concerned that if these mask mandates do get dropped, whether that'll offset perhaps some of the labor shortages from staff who say, look, we don't feel comfortable coming back to work without masks on.
We're not worried about that. We would be concerned, people have their personal choice. Anyone who gets on an airplane, including the crew, can continue to wear a mask and they will be protected. And so we're not worried that that is going to affect the labor shortage whatsoever.
I'm sure you've run the numbers on this. Is the mask mandate helping or hurting? And what has been the comment from the flight attendants union?
We've seen nothing from one of the flight attendants union. The Southwest flight attendants wrote the administration the other day asking that the mandate be dropped for all the reasons we've already mentioned, their personal safety, their own mental and physical well-being. And they said, again, as I have said, it's a matter of choice. If people want to continue to wear the mask, they can. They're certainly able to. So running the numbers on it, we think the vast majority of flight attendants and pilots want the mask mandate removed. They're tired of the police enforcement role that they've had to play, and it's not what their job is.
Some international airlines have already started dropping their mask mandates. How has this unevenness in the requirements between different airlines, between different routes, destinations, impacted travelers and crew members so far?
I think the impact is coming. It's started already. It'll continue down the line, though. That's an excellent question, because if you go through many foreign airports overseas and get on some of their aircraft, there is no mask mandate. There are no testing requirements, which are very cumbersome if you've had to go through them. So it's going to have a competitive impact on our airlines. If you can fly British Air, for example, without a mask and without a testing requirement, as opposed to getting on a U.S. aircraft or airline where all of that is still in place, it's going to have an impact.
All right, we do thank you for your time this afternoon. Nicholas Calio there, Airlines for America's CEO and President.